Damon, are you ready for us?
Yes, I should be ready.
Thank you so much.
And with that, again, I want to welcome you all to the SXM Airport Terminal Reconstruction Project. And this is, again, another edition of the Public Outreach Campaign series. This evening, we'll do a introduction to the Package 2 project. And the Package 2 project is basically what we're calling the finalized version of the building, back to what it used to be prior to Irma, with a few important changes. So thanks again. This evening, my name is Damien Schmidt, and I'll be the one on behalf of the Project Management Unit, the PMU, sorry, that will be providing the information, providing the session this evening. I'm backed with a team, back with members of my team who are some in the call, some here with me this evening. So I want to thank you and thank them also for their support. The reason that we're doing these sessions, you heard us mention it earlier, is because we want to increase engagement and stakeholder involvement. Those stakeholders are considered persons who also use the airport, non-PJIAE employees. Think of the airlines, the concessionaires, etc. But in this case, that stakeholder group has now been expanded, as Audrey mentioned, to the various, in this case, service groups and general public, for example, just to name a few. We also want to be able to create ambassadors. We want to be able to share this information with you, share this information with you so that you can share it with others and be able to explain others that we may not be able to have had access to. We also want to prepare the staff and the airport community, and in this case, the broader community, to reuse the building at the moment. So this evening, I'm going to start off with showing the impression video that we have. This is one of the videos, sorry, this is the video that shows some of the plans that we have. I'll be doing a talk over the video, so just so that I'll be able to explain some of the things that you'll be seeing. And I'll do my best to ensure I'm getting some feedback from some persons. So please ensure that your mics are muted, just to be able to make it comfortable for everyone. So I'll be doing I'll be displaying the video. We're going to start off with a video. Then we're going to have, I'll be mentioning some of the key changes that you'll be able to see throughout the video, that you'll have seen throughout the video. And then we'll close off with a few questions, a question and answer session. Yeah. Let me just turn down the video. So here, I trust everyone is seeing the screen. So here you're walking into the terminal building, where you'll be seeing the newly renovated check-in area. You're seeing some signage here in the middle, some foliage on the side. We'll be having some new check-in kiosk. That's some new technology that we see being used throughout some of the other international airports. Down in the back, you'll see some baggage drop stations. I'll explain you a bit more about that later on in the presentation. Then as you walk up the check-in area, I also want to point your attention to some of the, what we call flight information displays. Around here, we are having also some ticket booth counters where you're able to purchase the tickets by Winier, Liat, for example. These are some of the counters where the flight attendant agents will be able to assist you when you're checking in. And here we're walking up under the food court area where the Burger Kings used to be, the Domino's, etc. You see this area is also redesigned as well. Try to make it as light as possible because this was one of the areas that was fairly dark. So we try to make this area as light as possible. The dark areas that you're seeing there were some of the concession areas. So now we're going up the stairs and up the escalator to go through the departure. So we're going to actually now go through security first and then go through the immigration. Immigration will also be as automatic as possible. Here we're seeing some of the concession locations again. This is one of our big interesting stations. I'll just pause it here briefly so you can see. This is the what we call the departure food court. And so the departure food court is actually where you're able to grab your food and drink, food and beverages before you leave. What's interesting here in this station is the children's play station. That's one area that we try to introduce in this location so that we make it easier for persons who are traveling with their friends and who are traveling with their family, the kids, to be able to play and entertain themselves while the rest of the family grab a bite to eat and relax and wait on their flight. We continue with the rest of the video. See some of the concession locations here again. This is moving with the bathrooms. Entrances will also be redone, make them a bit more modern compared to what they were. Again, another station for signage here on the side. A few more concession locations you may be interested to know. For you or one of your family who are entrepreneurs, there will be new concession locations available. So stay tuned for that. That'll be taken care of by the commercial department. This is the executive lounge, which will now be actually 2 levels instead of 1. We now have an upper level. If you go into the executive lounge, you'll be able to come out on a sort of balcony. You can come out and relax or look over into the departure area.
Damon, I think it'll be nice to also share that we're going to have the new showers and so forth.
Yes, definitely. How do I dare forget? The showers were actually secretly one of my brain children. I was very happy to fight for us to be able to get showers, but that's something we've seen throughout airports in the world as well, where you're able to come to the airport to have a shower and properly prepare for your upcoming flight. In this case, we'll be having those 2 showers in the executive lounge, and we'll also have a location where families can go and change the children, etc. One thing I actually forgot to mention that's a little further down. Actually, we'll have a location where those pet relief. I forget the exact name, but it's a pet relief location where if you're traveling with your animals, dogs, cats, or whatever, you'll be able to take them into the bathroom and be able to allow them to relieve themselves. Thanks for that one, Audrey. This is another one of our areas, food and beverage areas, a bar in this location. This area was actually kind of sterile, if you remember, down in the A1 location. Here is now, we'll be taking a tour now of the arrival section. So you just came off a jet bridge. You're going down one of our new escalators. If you remember correctly, we only had 2 escalators in the building. Now all our jet bridges will have an escalator. Walking down the Sun Sand Sea corridor, you're looking over into the baggage reclaim area. You continue a little further, you come into the immigration area. We'll be using now automated border control immigration portals, similar to the ESTA system that they have in the US, and a similar digital system that they have in Curacao and Aruba. Passing the immigration, and we'll now be going down the stairs where you can reclaim your bags. Yeah. Over in the far end, we see another bathroom stall. And now we'll be exiting into what we call the meet and greet area. So we're going to pass customs first, walk through the sliding doors, and I'll pause in this area because this is one of the areas that we get, I would say, the most feedback actually, because what we decided to do here is change things up a bit. If you remember correctly, the car rentals used to be on the outside, on the back of this wall. And what we decided to do is bring those car rentals a little bit inside to give them a bit more of a exclusive feel, a bit more of a priority feel, and to be able to allow our passengers who are traveling with, who are expecting to pick up a car rental, give them for sort of a first preference to those car rentals. This is one area that we have discussed a bit about, mainly because we're looking to see how we can maximize the use of this space, but we like the concept of, having the passengers pass through this space first before before they really exit into the meet and greet area to meet their friends and family. The good thing with this wall that we have here now is a glass wall, so that'll be able to be readjusted. I'm not sure if I mentioned earlier as well that the floors will be terrazzo floors. So this means that it'll make it easier for us to be able to make adjustments and fix back the floors how it was without much disturbances or without having to buy extra tiles, etc. Terrazzo is a type of epoxy that you kind of put on the floor. It hardens, but it's much more durable than tiles. So this would be some of the car rental booths in this space. Yeah. So after you leave the car rental booth area, you come out into the meet and greet area where you meet your friends, family. You can visit the bathroom. We also will have a food and beverage concession in this space as well. So you can refresh yourself just before you exit through one of our reinforced doors. So that was basically the general video impression video of what the newly constructed airport terminal would look like and what we have in stored. We trust that this meets and again, that's the reason that we've been meeting with some of the, that's the reason why we've been meeting with the stakeholders, our airport stakeholders and users as much as possible so that we can get a good insight of what their pain points are, what they have, what they need, so that we know how to meet and match those needs, especially during the reconstruction. At this point, I want to kind of take a moment just to highlight some of the changes and updates that we've done so far and some of the things that we have planned. We'll start off with the upgrades. So we, of course, had to reinforce the roof. The roof is now able to withstand 185 mile per hour hurricanes. And I trust and hope that we never have to put that to the test again. Aside from that, we also will be re-enhancing the entry doors. So those are doors, if you saw in the design, we will have stronger doors, double doors, which also helps with sustainability, help us to keep some of that cool air in the building. Again, the floors will be terrazzo floors, a type of epoxy, which allows us to create some nice unique concept designs in the flooring as well. And we'll be having an updated building management system. And we'll be, of course, because of one of the good things of this reconstruction within the current floor space is that because we've been using the building for a few years, we're now able to take a closer look at how we were using the building in the past and try to introduce some new ideas without having to demolish the whole building. So that gives us a better chance to make better use of the floor space. In terms of the passengers, or from a passenger perspective, we will actually also be having, as I mentioned earlier, escalators at all the jet bridges, which is, of course, a added plus for those who are physically challenged. We'll also be having some more check-in kiosks. One of the, as I mentioned earlier, one of the technologies that we see happening throughout internationally at other airports is that passengers are checking in from their mobile devices, they're checking in from their laptops at home before they get to the airport. So when they get to the airport, they actually only need to really drop off their bags. So that's another big improvement that we'll be introducing to the airport as well, a self-service baggage drop. So if you check in at home, you only really need to come to the airport to drop off your bags. As I mentioned earlier during the video, we'll also be having larger flight information displays, which of course makes it a bit easier for you to be able to see what flights have arrived and which flights are departing. In terms of the airlines, from the airline perspective, again, they'll have new check-in counter designs. They'll have some more office spaces as well, and they'll have a baggage service office, which is actually also a great benefit to the passengers. So if you remember, sometimes when you travel, your bags didn't come with you, or your bags came before you, but for whatever reason, your bags you weren't able to retrieve your bag when you're at the baggage reclaim area off of the baggage belt. Before, what had to happen is that you'll go home, you come back the next day, and you try to hunt down somebody from the airline, from the respective airlines. Now with the baggage service office, you have a dedicated location where you can go and where you can always find a airline agent to be able to assist you with your needs. That was something that we actually were in the process of trying to see how we can implement it before the hurricane. So again, that's one of those things where now that we've been in the building and we realized where we could make some improvements, this opportunity gives us a chance, this reconstruction gives us an opportunity to be able to implement some of those changes. Pertaining to the concessionaires are the locations and persons that have the stores at the airport. We'll, as I mentioned earlier, be having some additional concession locations both on the air side and land side. That basically means before security and after security. We're also talking about the possibility for airport canteen for the airport community who may want to eat something a bit different than what the passengers eat and something within the budget of a local and not necessarily a passenger, for example. This also, of course, gives us new food and beverage concession areas as well. In addition, we have the immigration parties who are using the airport. We'll also have a different design for the immigration counters, as well. So they will also be redesigned and now facing the passenger. If you remember, when you were coming in, you were kind of had to turn on the side. It was a bit confusing. That has also been redone. Now we have also put in conversation with the immigration officers as well. They actually preferred if we would have the passengers go through security first and then immigration. So that's something we have already implemented actually. And so we'll maintain that moving into the new building. And we discussed already at length with pertaining to the car rentals relocation. One of the questions that we get often is—
Damien, I just have a question for those who may be interested. I'm getting some also private messages on these things. If anyone is interested in any business opportunities at the airport, what would they have to do in order to seek out that information?
Sure. So that's a common question, especially when we start to talk about new possibilities and more locations at the airport. Again, that will be dealt with from the commercial team at the airport, the marketing team. If you're interested, what I can, even though that's not a part of the reconstruction, what I can mention, since I was part of the commercial team myself before coming to the reconstruction, I can say that for you to be able to be considered, you may want to go to the SXM Airport website. We have on the business tab. So on the airport website, you have a business tab, and on the business tab, you can then go and look for, out the top of my head, it's expression of interest. So you fill in the expression of interest form, and we'll be able to then have your information documented. So when we're ready, when the commercial team is ready now for to open those opportunities, you'll be able to be informed. Yeah.
Yes. I've included the website on the chat for anyone who's interested in what Damien just updated you, if you want to express your expression of interest.
Perfect. Thank you. Just have a few more slides. Again, this evening's presentation is fairly brief because we have a follow-up session tonight at 8 p.m. If in case you missed it when I mentioned it earlier, we have another session this evening at 8 p.m. where we'll be talking more about this project, but also more mentioning more about the funding of the project. That presentation will be done by our project director, Mr. Mirto. Yeah. But so back to this presentation, we just wanted to, because one of the questions that we've been getting is, of course, you know, what have we done pertaining to sustainability for the project? And so one of those things is, some of the things that we are able to mention at this point is, again, the reinforced doors help us to conserve energy, which of course is a big concern for us. We've also started already actually to use LED lighting throughout the building, again, helping us to conserve energy. The terrazzo floors as well help us because of the endurance, they're much more durable than the tiles. And again, because we'll be using automation, using sensors and stuff like that, we'll be able to help improve efficiency and be as efficient as possible throughout the process. So these are just some of the areas in which we've thought of how we implement sustainability throughout the project. And with that, my story for this evening is basically finished, but we do like to take this opportunity to ask questions, get your input. If you want to commend us for something, if you want to raise a concern, if you have questions, if you have even more ideas that that may be something that we didn't thought of or you didn't hear this evening, this is the point in the presentation where we can do so. And again, this is the whole reason why we're having these sessions, so that we can get your input as well. So at this point, I want to open up the floor for any questions. I ask Audrey to help us moderate those questions in case anyone has sidebar.
Well, I want to say thank you very much, Mr. Schmidt and your team. I know you have to drink some water now because you're trying to push through, because we have another session at 8 p.m. But I just want to say thank you for everybody who's also online. I'm getting a lot of feedback privately and also on the chat. They're saying great job with what they're seeing with our video, and that they're quite excited about what is to come for this. Somebody just said, love this new project. So I think the whole point of tonight is to build momentum on what is to come. And if they see the artist impressions and the virtual videos and everything, they get a lot more feedback and happiness. I'm seeing great presenter from a comment just now as well. So you can keep that coming. I'm sure. So again, just to assist Mr. Schmidt again for this section, if there are any questions, please don't hesitate to.
Yeah.
Yes, hello. If everyone can hear me, if there are any questions about the airport terminal reconstruction project, we just had a presentation from Mr. Schmidt opened as well. Please let us know, or if you prefer to send them via email. I know everybody received this invitation via email or WhatsApp. Feel free to do that as well. I'm already being asked questions about when is the follow-up presentation. So that's pretty good. He wants to be on board. And good night to all the service groups. If we don't have any questions, that's okay as well, because then we can move over to the preparation for the 8 o'clock presentation that's going to be live on Facebook in a few. Our
Audrey,
Facebook page is.
Audrey, just a question from VR for Business in the chat. The question here is, will there be a 360-degree virtual tour of the airport? I guess the short answer is, I'm working on it. We're working on it to see how we can get that done.
Condolences, I would correct them and say, hey, the world lost somebody really special.
Awesome. I would also like to take this opportunity to let everyone know about our new show that is going to be fixated around the airport terminal reconstruction. That will be premiering that TV show. It's just 15 minutes on social media for next Tuesday. It's supposed to be King's Day. So we'll get it out there to everyone so they can actually look at it. You will hear about who are the project team members, the project management director, but it kicks off with our managing board members, our COO, Michelle Hyman, as well as our CFO, Leo van der Meyden. So we'll have that for you next week, and I'll also share that for you via the email, as well as our WhatsApp and social media pages. If there are no further questions, Damien, you can always wrap up. Wait, I think we have one more. Pertaining to the land side of the terminal, dropping off or picking up of passengers on a day that is raining, it's not convenient for passengers. That's what I'm seeing. Did you get that, Damien?
Yes, that's a very good point, actually. And that has been a good point for some years. Actually, that's one of the points that I brought up also when I came to work at the airport. What I can say at this point, our project is really focused at restoring the airport to what it was prior to Irma, with of course a few changes within the design. Again, you know, changing the floor, changing the tiles, those are necessary. For example, adding in the kiosk, the drop-off kiosk and stuff like that. Anything outside of that, basically almost anything outside of the walls, besides of the jet bridge, is really considered outside the scope, and that really has more to do with you know, scope of the work and monies and stuff like that. Needless to say, that is definitely something that we are looking at and continue to look at. There are some solutions that we were considering at the time, but of course the main priority right now is to ensure that we restore the airport terminal first before we really do anything else. But again, we thank you for that, and that's a really great question, great observation. But our main focus first is to ensure that we restore the building, we can reuse the building, and then we can start to look at some of these other projects.
Thank you, Damien. We have another comment, rather. Sylvia says that the pickup area was not really touched on throughout the presentation, but it's a very nice presentation. Maybe something we can just look.
Okay, yeah.
Yes, Sylvia. Yes.
I see Ravina ask about the timeline for the executing the plans. As another great question. That question would actually be answered in our 8 o'clock session. So I invite you to tune into that, Ravina.
And just so you know, Ravina, we'll also have the updates of the timeline on our website. So I have it in the chat, so you can always check it out, www.sxmairport.com. You just have to click the construction tab. It's on the homepage, so it's easy to navigate on the website. My department manages that as well. But the project management unit team, they update the construction tab with all the relevant information that pertains to the airport terminal reconstruction project. So what we tend to do is to update the timeline for the project. You know, you don't want to have any information out there that's incorrect. And when you deal with reconstruction, it tends to change, it happens, but we want to be accurate with the information that we put out there. So it used to have a timeline, but as we update it occasionally, we have to then take it down to then refresh it according to the team.
Yeah, just to inform everyone else as well, the idea is that that timeline, the tentative timeline that we have now is, we'll maintain that timeline up until the contract, and all of this will be explained again in more detail during our 8 p.m. session. But basically, the timeline that we have now is tentative until we have our contractor identified and awarded. And when we begin to have those conversations with the contractor, then we'll be able to have a real updated, another version of the updated timeline that will give you a bit more idea as to, at that time. So we're looking at somewhere down in the summer, July, August, for us to really have another updated version of the timeline. So what we have now is really just tentative for the time. Again, that will all be explained in further detail during the 8 p.m. session. Yeah.
Okay, I want to take the opportunity to close off right now. It's 1:45. Thank you to everyone that joined us tonight. I see a lot of people on, and a lot of people left us because they had alternate meetings. Just want to say thank you. It's been a very good turnout tonight. I'm quite impressed with the service groups show out tonight. Thank you very much, Mr. Schmidt, on behalf of the project management unit team. I know you're quite busy and you have to drink some more water before the 8 o'clock session. And we look forward to hearing from the project management director, Myrtle Brill, for the 8 o'clock session. Just log on to our Facebook page at Princess Juliana International Airport, SXM. You'll see our SXM logo. That's the correct page. And you'll get a lot more information. And we'll let you know where we're going to be presenting once more to all the service groups. Thank you for joining us. Good night, everyone.
Thanks again. And thanks, Audrey, for having us. I hope to see you guys again soon. Oh, one thing I want to mention before we leave, just as a precursor and just as a heads up, now that the terminal building is fully mold remediated, we plan to have some tours open to the general public. So you, your families and friends will be able to come down and see the terminal, see the plans that we have, see the actual locations. We plan to start those tours soon within an upcoming month or two. Of course, we'll be, Audrey will help us to promote that as much as possible. You'll have to register, of course, but the idea is that you'll be able to come down and visit the airport for yourselves, at least the side that's to be constructed, of course. Looking forward to starting those tours and seeing you guys, having you guys here to be able to interact even more. Yeah, just wanted to close with that. Thanks again, Audrey, for organizing, and looking forward to everyone during our 8 p.m. session. Thankfully, I won't be the one doing that session.
Yes, and a special good night to Maggie from the airport team as well, who's online. So, thank you for being here, Maggie. Good night, everyone. Thank you to all service groups.